Now Luffy was knocked out by Kaido's big metal club, which he's actually still breathing, which also means that Law is about to teleport him out, but then he was actually hit by a nail. It was actually Hawkins who actually threw the nail. It was actually had sea stone in him, which actually made Law weak, and then he actually using his Wababiti sword on Law, in which Kaido actually told them that he actually going to take him to his cell, and then he told them that once his spirit is broken, he become a formidable soldier for them, in which he's actually going to brainwash Luffy into becoming his soldier, which everybody decided that would be a good idea until Shukamaru actually saw the ability that Luffy actually did was actually Lord Odin's ability, which he actually seen it before. Now, Kaido actually changed back into a dragon after he said that he will finish Law himself next time, in which he's going back to drinking, which we actually saw Law in the forest try to recover, in which he is talking about the fact that he's actually going to find his crew, in which he cannot leave without them. Meanwhile, back at the Bakura town, Wesley saw Hawkins and his crew were actually talking about Law escaping, which on Okoburi town, we saw Kimon actually wearing a bandana on his face, in which he actually saw Osuru, who actually still beautiful over 20 years, over 20 years, which he actually might have feelings for her, and which we actually knew that they're both in love. Meanwhile, back in the Odin's castle ruins, we saw Kiku saw the Straw Hats surviving with a hole they actually dug up and Chopper using his guard point, which means that we actually knew that we're going to see how they're going to rescue Luffy, which Okiku told him something. However, we saw Inumarushi picking up the unconscious body, Tuma, and she's actually still breathing. Meanwhile, the news actually spread out through the country, which Frankie, Robin, and Usopp heard about the news. Well, actually, he's doing the embarrassing face they did. Even Zoro, which he actually is in the boat eating food, which he actually been there all this time. But then the next day on the Odon, we actually saw slaves working on the factory, in which we actually saw them being fed poisoned food from the river. And that being said, we also saw Luffy being taped up around his face and then try to get back in the cell. And the cell that he's actually next to was actually Kid in there. And then they actually told Kaido that he'll pay for this. And then the curtain actually closed. Sign said, Wano Country Act 1 end. Act 1 end. Which we're going to see Act 2 very soon after the break next weekend. Now, we do know that Kaido putting Luffy in the cell with Kid, but the comedy sketch where Robin making that face is actually making a whole lot of fans upset, but I should get props for that. So I cannot wait for the second act to return after the break next weekend. So yeah, anyway, like this video, subscribe for more, and comment on what you think about the manga chapter. You guys can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and like my Facebook page. Until then, this is Manga here saying signing out. Laters!